Imagine a young Muslim boy walking to school with a Quran in his bag and the weight of two worlds on his shoulders. One world calls him to prayer, to patience, to purity. The other pulls him toward noise, toward trends, toward forgetting who he truly is. Now imagine a Muslim girl wearing her hijab not just as a cloth, but as a crown. Yet every day she wonders if it makes her a target or a symbol of strength. This is the silent battle our youth are fighting every single day in the West. And we don't speak about it. If we don't shine a light on their struggle, we risk losing them not to the world, but to confusion, loneliness, and distance from Allah. This speech is not about blaming the West or glorifying struggle. It's about truth. It's about love. It's about saving our future by understanding what they're really going through. It's about holding up a mirror and asking as a community, as elders, as leaders, are we doing enough? Are we listening? Are we guiding without judging? So stay with me till the end, because this message is not just for the youth. It's for every parent, every imam, every teacher, every friend who wants to be a part of the solution. Let's talk heart to heart, soul to soul, about identity, about pressure, about the quiet tears our youth hide behind smiles, and most importantly, about how we can lead them back to peace, purpose, and the path of Allah. The first and perhaps most pressing challenge Muslim youth face in the West is the struggle to preserve their Islamic identity in a society where values, culture, and norms often contradict the teachings of Islam. Imagine being young, full of questions, searching for a sense of belonging, only to be surrounded by a world that rarely reflects your beliefs, your dress, your worship, or your language. This identity conflict is not just cultural, it's deeply spiritual. It touches the soul. In schools, universities, and workplaces, young Muslims often feel they must shrink or hide their faith to avoid being labeled, misunderstood, or excluded. A young boy may hesitate to pray in public, afraid of strange looks or uncomfortable questions. A hijabi sister might feel pressure to take off her scarf just to fit in. These small decisions become silent battles inside the heart. When you're constantly made to feel like the other, it chips away at your confidence, your faith, and sometimes your love for who you are. In the Denzel Washington style, real talk now. This world will try to tell you that your worth comes from fitting in. But I'm here to remind you, young brother, young sister, your worth is not in blending in, it's in standing tall for what you believe in. This Deen, this Islam is not a limitation, it's your light, it's your compass. It's the reason you don't lose yourself in a world full of confusion. The Western lifestyle often celebrates freedom of speech, freedom of expression, but what about the freedom to be a proud Muslim? That too is your right. And don't let anyone shame you for choosing Allah over trends, for saying no when everyone else says yes, or for fasting while others feast. That's not weakness, that's strength, rooted in faith. Still, we can't ignore that this struggle is real. And it's not enough to tell youth to just be strong. They need spaces that celebrate their identity, not question it. They need elders who listen, not lecture. They need Islamic education that speaks their language and understands their world. This is not about compromise, it's about confidence. About giving our youth the tools to say, yes, I am Muslim. Yes, I am proud. And no, I will not trade my faith for acceptance. And that, right there, is where healing begins. Another powerful challenge Muslim youth face in the West is peer pressure and the struggle to maintain moral boundaries in environments that often promote the opposite of Islamic values. This is not just about friends, it's about influence. It's about the silent temptation that seeps in through casual conversations, social media feeds, Netflix series, and college parties. These aren't always loud invitations to sin, they're subtle whispers that say, everyone's doing it, what's the harm? Now imagine a young Muslim navigating this world with a heart that wants to please Allah, but a soul that craves acceptance. The pressure to fit in, to not seem too religious, to be liked, followed, or admired. It's a real struggle. A young brother might be tempted to cut corners in prayer, hide his values in front of others, or laugh at jokes that hurt his own Deen. A sister might feel the urge to dress or speak in a way that gains popularity, but pulls her away from her. This is not weakness, it's human. But in the Denzel Washington tone, let's get this straight. Your strength is not proven by how much you blend in, it's proven by how much you stand firm when everyone else lets go. When you choose to guard your gaze, protect your words, and respect your body and others, you are walking with angels even if no one sees you. You are earning Jannah in a world that doesn't even believe in it. But it's hard. That's why youth need mentorship. They need real, raw conversations about boundaries. Not just haram and halal lists, but why Allah sets those limits. Our youth need to know that every line they refuse to cross for the sake of Allah is a badge of honor, not a weight of shame. They need support systems that remind them you're not alone and you're not crazy for wanting to live clean in a dirty world. Let's stop telling our youth to just say no. We must teach them how to say no with strength, wisdom, and confidence. Let's build circles where Islamic values are not mocked but honored. Where being a practicing Muslim isn't too much, it's beautiful. Where walking the straight path in a crooked society is seen as the true mark of courage. Because when they realize that real coolness is in character and real strength is in self-control, that's when they stop following the crowd and start leading it. The third great challenge Muslim youth face in the West is the impact of Islamophobia and media misrepresentation. This is not just a matter of headlines or politics. It reaches deep into the hearts of young Muslims who are just trying to live their faith with dignity. When every news channel, every movie villain, or every social debate paints your religion as something violent, extreme, or backward, it starts to shape how you see yourself and how the world sees you. A young Muslim walking down the street with a beard or a hijab may feel the stares, the suspicion, or even the hostility. A teenager sitting in a classroom may hear jokes, whispers, or ignorant questions that chip away at their sense of belonging. This isn't just uncomfortable, it's painful. It makes our youth wonder, should I hide who I am? Should I water down my faith so I'm not targeted or judged? And here's the truth. When Islam is misrepresented in the media, it's not just Islam that suffers. It's the young boy who stops saying salam in public. It's the girl who removes her hijab in fear. It's the teen who begins to distance themselves from the masjid just to avoid attention. Over time, the pressure adds up. They begin to think, maybe Islam really is too heavy for this world. Maybe it's easier to just blend in. But in the Denzel Washington style, let's be real, truth does not shrink in the face of lies. Islam is not what they say it is. Islam is not the news, it's the Quran. It's not the headlines, it's the hadith. It's not what some hate-filled voices claim, it's what Allah revealed: mercy, justice, light. We need to raise our youth with this fire inside. You don't need the world to validate your faith. You validate the truth by how you live it. You are not defined by media. You are defined by your character, your sincerity, your obedience to the one who created you. When the Prophet was mocked, he didn't hide. He stood taller. When the Sahaba were oppressed, they didn't give up. They became stronger. Our youth must know, being a Muslim in the West is not a curse. It's a calling. You are a representative of the truth in a place that needs it most. Your smile, your kindness, your honesty, your humility, that's dawah. That's the real face of Islam, and no media can erase that. But they need support. They need Muslim communities that teach them how to respond to hate with hikmah, wisdom, how to correct misinformation with compassion, and how to carry Islam proudly with excellence. Because when they see themselves not as victims, but as ambassadors of light, they stop shrinking in fear and start rising in faith. And that's how we reclaim the narrative, not by shouting louder, but by living clearer. The fourth challenge faced by Muslim youth in the West is the disconnect from Islamic knowledge and spiritual guidance. Many young Muslims are growing up with limited understanding of their faith, not because they don't care, but because the access to authentic, relatable, and inspiring Islamic education is missing or not delivered in a way that speaks to their hearts and minds. In a world where every question can be answered with a Google search, our youth are still spiritually hungry. They may know how to navigate technology, trends, and culture, but many don't know how to pray properly, why we fast, or what the Quran truly teaches. This isn't their fault alone. It's a gap between generations, between institutions and individuals, between the sacred message and modern communication. Now imagine a young Muslim who hears the adhan but doesn't know how to feel it in his heart. A sister who wears the hijab but doesn't understand the deep honor behind it. A teenager who fasts in Ramadan but has never opened the Quran with reflection. This isn't just a lack of knowledge, it's a disconnect from identity, from purpose, from Allah. In Denzel Washington style, let's bring this home. If you don't know who you are, someone else will tell you who to be. And if our youth don't learn their deen with love, clarity, and passion, they will chase purpose in places that lead them further away from Allah. This is how confusion sets in. This is how doubts creep in. This is how a soul starts to feel empty, even when the world around looks full. We need a revival of knowledge, not just memorizing facts, but awakening hearts. Our youth need Islamic role models who understand their struggles. They need lessons that connect the Quran to real life. Lessons that teach them how Surah Yusuf can help them face temptation, how Surah Kahf protects against fitna, how the seerah of the Prophet is the blueprint for dignity and strength in any society. Parents, teachers, imams, this is our job. We can't just tell the youth what to believe. We have to show them why it's beautiful to believe. They need to see Islam not as a burden, but as a light in their lives. They need masajid that welcome their questions, la'aqwas that speak their language, and communities that don't shame them, but embrace them. Because when a young heart truly understands Islam, it stops searching elsewhere. When they know Allah not just as a concept, but as the most merciful, the most loving, they don't run from Him, they run to Him. And that's the goal, to turn passive Muslims into passionate believers. Not just people who say La ilaha illallah, but those who live it, breathe it, and find strength in it every single day. Another major challenge facing Muslim youth in the West is the crisis of identity. This isn't just about confusion over nationality or ethnicity, it runs much deeper. It's the inner conflict between being Muslim and trying to fit into a society that often misunderstands, ignores, or even rejects their faith. Many young Muslims find themselves walking a tightrope between two worlds, one rooted in their Islamic heritage and another shaped by Western culture, expectations, and values. In school, at work, or on social media, they may feel like they have to choose between being normal and being Muslim. They might hide their names, avoid conversations about religion, or suppress their beliefs to avoid standing out. This constant pressure to blend in slowly erodes their confidence and weakens their connection to who they truly are. But here's the truth. You don't have to choose. You can be unapologetically Muslim and still succeed in every arena of life. Islam is not a limitation, it's your strength. It gives you dignity, discipline, and direction. While the world tells you to follow trends, Islam tells you to follow truth. While the world pushes you to please people, Islam reminds you to please your Creator. In Denzel Washington's voice, you were not created to copy the crowd. You were created to carry a legacy. And that legacy is rich, beautiful, and powerful. It's the legacy of the Prophet Muhammad, who stood firm in truth when the entire society pushed against him. It's the legacy of the Sahaba, who didn't bow to pressure, but transformed the world with their faith. Our youth must reclaim this legacy. They must know that their identity is not a conflict, it's a calling. You can be fluent in English, wear sneakers, use technology, and still live by the Quran and Sunnah. You can be modern in your skills, but traditional in your values, and that blend is what the world needs. Muslims who are proud, informed, and firm in their deen. This doesn't mean rejecting Western society, it means navigating it with purpose. It means representing Islam with character, intelligence, and compassion. It means knowing that your beard, your hijab, your prayer. These are not obstacles to success. They are the very signs that you walk with Allah's guidance. The crisis of identity will not be solved with silence. It will be solved when young Muslims stop apologizing for their faith and start owning it. When they say, yes, I'm a Muslim and I'm proud of it. Because that pride doesn't just come from culture, it comes from conviction. And once that conviction is planted, no storm in the world can uproot it. The sixth challenge Muslim youth face in the West is mental health struggles and the stigma around seeking help. This is a critical issue that has only become more apparent in recent years. Muslim youth in the West often find themselves battling internal struggles, stress, anxiety, depression, loneliness, but feel unable to reach out for help due to fear of judgment or the cultural stigma surrounding mental health in some communities. There is a deeply ingrained idea in certain circles that talking about mental health somehow means weakness, that seeking therapy or counseling is a sign that your faith isn't strong enough, or that it goes against the teachings of Islam. The reality is that mental health is a matter of well-being, physical, emotional, and psychological. Islam does not shun therapy or counseling. It encourages healing and seeking help when needed. The Prophet himself sought medical treatment when necessary, and there are numerous examples from Islamic history where scholars and companions recognize the importance of mental health and well-being. However, many young Muslims, especially in the West, find themselves at a crossroads. They feel torn between the cultural expectation to tough it out and the inner pain they're struggling with. They may be told to pray more or to just trust in Allah. And while these are essential spiritual practices, they are not a replacement for seeking professional help when needed. The struggle becomes isolating. When the stigma around mental health is so strong, a young Muslim may avoid seeking help, thinking that their problems are a sign of weakness or that they'll be judged by their peers and family. The truth is, mental health is part of holistic health, and Islam teaches us to take care of ourselves in every aspect, spiritually, physically, and emotionally. Seeking help for mental health struggles is not a sign of weakness, but of wisdom. The Quran itself offers healing for the heart, and the guidance of the Prophet shows that caring for one's well-being, including mental health, is essential to a balanced life. Now, in Denzel Washington's style, you don't need to carry the weight of the world alone. You are not weak for feeling down, and you are not less than for seeking help. You are human, and being human means sometimes you need to lean on others to stand tall. Allah has created people, resources, and ways to help you heal and grow stronger. You don't have to hide your pain, and you don't have to silence your struggle. It's okay to not be okay, and it's okay to ask for help. The Muslim youth need to understand that it's not just about getting through life, it's about living life to its fullest with clarity, purpose, and mental strength. And when they find the courage to ask for help, they are not failing. They are doing what is necessary to lead a better, healthier, and more fulfilled life. It's time to end the stigma and start a conversation about mental health in the Muslim community so that no one has to suffer in silence. In the end, it's crucial to understand that seeking help for mental health challenges is not a sign of weakness, but a step towards healing and strength. Allah has granted us the tools and resources to take care of our minds, bodies, and souls, and part of that is recognizing when we need support. Muslim youth must be encouraged to reach out, break the stigma, and remember that seeking help is a sign of courage, not failure. Just as we care for our physical health through exercise and nutrition, caring for our mental health through therapy, counseling, or simply talking to someone is just as important. Let's create a community where young Muslims feel empowered to embrace their struggles and seek the help they deserve, knowing that healing is a journey and they are never alone in it.